All right, welcome everybody to our Flora and Fauna of Aotearoa Kaitiaki Forum for 2025. We've got some great guest speakers to share with us today. I'd like to welcome Shane Hyde back. We had you on last year, Shane, when we had a good chat about Predator Free 2050. So Shane is the president of the Ferac Contractors Network, and he'll share info about that network and some of his pest control techniques. And he's also an inventor who has made an amazing tool that helps improve the efficiency of trapping. So he'll share a bit about that with us. Welcome, Shane. And
Yeah, sure.
thanks, Shane. Elizabeth, Libby was going to be with us as well, but she can't make it today. So we've got Elizabeth Cave from the Possum Merino Project, and we may have Alan joining us as well. It looks like he might be in the waiting room. I will let him in, and we'll see if we can get his camera and that started. So Alan is actually based in the USA, and he is also um, working towards building up the Possum Merino project, which is awesome. So we'll hear from both of them. Alan, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can
Awesome.
you can you see me?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Allow.
Okay. Yes.
Here I am. Okay, great.
Excellent. Cool. Welcome. I'm just introducing everyone, and then we'll get started. So,
Well, I'm glad I could join you.
yeah, cool. No, I'm very glad that worked out. So,
Okay.
yes, so Elizabeth and Alan will be speaking about the Possum Merino project, Felt project, and they'll talk about fibre arts, cottage industry opportunities, international opportunities, and how they dovetail into biodiversity work. Um, and then we'll have Averil Drake. Averil's down on the West Coast. She'll be sharing her experience of off-grid life with her family in the bush on the West Coast, foraging, hunting, and thinking about food security, as well as a project that she's working on at the moment, which is recording the important knowledge of the region's old timers, like former deer culler Laurie Collins. So that'll be really interesting. So welcome everyone. I'm just going to let someone else in the room, and we'll make sure they're muted and cameras off, and then we'll get started. All right. Welcome, Wendy. We're about to get started. So yeah, let's start with you, Shane. Would you share with us a bit about the Ferac network and your Enviro-mate 100 and anything else that you want to share?
Okay, we'll start with Ferac. I'm the current president. It's a small community of contract hunters or service providers or people that are working in the conservation field. How Ferac came about is it was originally set up by the New Zealand Possum Hunters Association, I think, and they needed public liabilities insurance to be able to contract to the Animal Health Board and DOC. And that covered all things like fires and any accidents in the forest. So we had an insurance group effectively set up, and most of the members are insurance holders for that reason of public indemnity insurance. As it's progressed over time, the original members, spent a lot of time providing the practical skills for science and research, for land care research and helping DOC. We work collaboratively with them. That was before my time. So they actually have a wealth of knowledge in there. In more recent times, with the collapse of the skin market in the late 80s, more recent time, it's more about contracting and also for the fur harvest for pluck fur from possum skins. And that's again insurance for your health and safety and all the rest of it that goes with that. So we've currently got around 142 members spread out across New Zealand that have capacity to do pest control. either as output contractors or input contractors, and there's quite a good there's a significant difference in how those people work. Output contractor gets paid at the end of the job based on performance. So if they don't perform, they don't get paid. And the input contractors work for councils, for example, and they might just be carrying out a prescription. So they'll be servicing traps in a set way, or for a community group, or how they've been asked to do it. So, and then likewise, we still got the people that are collecting the possum furs and the fluff, and creating resources that add value, so creating more employment. And so going forward, we've got 142 members and it's growing. We set up a Facebook page and that's slowly growing. It's quite impressive. In the last month, we've had nearly another 200 members just jump on our Facebook page. It was quite fast. I don't quite understand what the change was, but we welcome anybody that wants to come online. The membership, you can be a member of Ferac without needing to buy the insurance, and I think it's around $65 to be a member, and then that gives you access to the knowledge that we hold, the different people we can direct you to support you in how you need support, or and also to share the knowledge and work together. So what we've found since probably around 2010 is that community group pest control has been the main focus for the Department of Conservation. And as a result of that, the contractor industry's slowly been closed down because the money hasn't been put out in tenders or opportunities as much. And with predator-free 250 coming in, even though the contractors are performance-based contractors, they haven't actually been included in any of the discussions of how to get to zero. So there's a big gap there of people not wanting to work together. So going forward, Ferac has been sitting. It hasn't moved a lot in the last maybe 10 years, other than just keeping the insurance rolling. We've had a little bit of a change of how our committee is lined up. And we've got a new group of people that are willing to make change. We've still got our own individual skills, and we're looking at making positive change, and ideally wanting to do what's right for each region at a localized level. So we're looking for people to work with. Hence, we come along and we align with Flora and Fauna. Most of us are not so happy with forest and bird because they sort of jumped in and haven't been helpful to the contractors at all since that same period, 2012. And they're not been open to explore positive ways of change, how we deliver pest control. So we also identified that forest and bird taking a lot of management positions without the actual skill and knowledge, and haven't got the actual results that could be achieved by a contractor. So we're trying to find our way through this maze, and obviously aerial 1080s features in there. But in reality, aerial 1080 is just a tool. It's the managers of the tool that we need to talk to more and open up the market. So that's that one there. The next side of it is, most of you will know that we've been working with a technology called Enviro-mate. It's quite a simple little machine. All it's doing is giving dinners. And it just turns once a day, once every second day, once every third day, and we can put whatever we like in there. But that's about creating habits of return for possums and rats. And by creating those animals on site, we're encouraging other pests to come to site. So it's actually a tool of strategy, and it's been really hard to get that across the line. So, yeah, so but I imagine most of you people that are on here have actually been following us. The key bottom line of why Enviro-mate is here is as a single contractor working in the forest. I realised by the time I was halfway through the forest, the areas that were not controlled outside of my area were had possums reinvading faster than I could remove them. So and needed a system that could maintain the area for the period of monitor. So the conclusion that I've come to is unless a large landscape is worked all at the same time, there's actually no environmental gain delivered by getting to a low number on a very small area within. And the reason being is the reinvasion is very, very quick. It's less than 21 days. So, yeah, any questions?
We will take questions after, if that's all right. But if people have questions, can they put them in the chat and we will do a Q&A session after. I know it's not ideal, but if that's okay. But also Shane has your website, Shane, Ecoland. If people want to look up the Enviro-mate and find out more about, the services that you offer up. We've just put your website in the chat there, ecoland.co.nz. Hannah?
Yes, very quickly. Can when the speaker is on, can you put them in on full screen?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, so Shane was just a small thing, so that would be good.
I am just a small thing, though.
There we go.
No, you're not, Shane.
No, awesome. Thank you very much, Shane. Look forward to seeing how Ferac develops and, to more people becoming aware of the Enviro-mate, and
I would like to mention a little bit more the Asha. We look forward to working with Flora and Fauna and other collaborative groups some more. Luckily for Ferac, because we work with the insurance side of things, we've got like money coming in and money going out. And we do have an account that is put aside for research and development and promotion.
Yep.
And it's got a significant amount of money sitting in there at the moment that we're looking to disperse. So we're open for concepts or people like your articles, for example.
Yep.
We could potentially help contribute to that as well.
Fantastic.
So
yep.
Things that are proactive to our trappers and conservation workers, but also enabling regional work for people in their own backyards. Tools, innovation, knowledge, so making a more sustainable pest business like what Liz is working with as well, maybe with her fur and her felting. She should come and talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
Likewise, that the report that you helped us pull together for Matu and his hapu, that's very beneficial. Information collected in there would be nice to share it some more.
Yes.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I think, from Flora and Fauna's perspective, we very much want to support local livelihoods. We want to support people on the ground. We want to support humane methods of control, and so I think that there's definitely a lot of opportunity for us to work together and, find those common grounds so that we can elevate and improve things. So that's awesome, and I'm really excited to see what kind of research projects come out, and how we can actually promote, collaboratively promote this and see some change. I think nationally would be great. More support for contractors. Fairer playing field to start with, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Shane. If anyone has any questions for Shane, pop them in the chat and we will go through them afterwards. So, yep, awesome. So I'd like to invite.
Yes, we are. We're working with a digital platform. Asha's just setting up our website for Ferac. Like I said, we're starting to be stop sleeping and become more proactive as an industry player. And but a bit like Flora and Fauna and many other little groups, it's really hard to get everybody moving at the same speed, especially when we're all individuals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we're working on it. I think there is maybe an MOU that needs to be discussed between, a variety of groups so that we can actually start to move things forward in a faster pace and actually get a clearer picture of where we're going with this. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Elizabeth and Ellen. We'll see. I'm not sure how to get you both up on the.
Can you
Here
hear
I
me?
am.
Yes.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Ashes, someone has literally arrived to pay for my horse float and take it to Christchurch. And can I please excuse myself and hand over to Alan?
Yes.
While I make that transaction, and I'll be back as soon as I can.
All right.
Congratulations,
I'm really
Elizabeth.
sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
Over to you, Alan.
Hello.
Alan, tell us,
Hi.
who are you and what's your connection to the Possum Merino Felt Project?
Okay. I live in the U.S. in Oregon. Oregon's a lot like New Zealand in a lot of ways. A lot of sheep, a lot of wine, similar size, similar population. And I've been traveling to New Zealand for about the last 10 years. And I met Elizabeth through a mutual friend and introduced her to Libby, who's not with us. But Libby is the financial expert in our group. And I was captivated by the win-win opportunity to deal with predator that's doing some damage in New Zealand and enable jobs for people. And I was when I met Elizabeth, she showed me her loom, and I made a piece of felt the size of a small blanket to take home with me, and I made a hat. And I could see the ease of felting with Possum Merino fiber, and how many ways it could be used for people that were less mobile than some, like people that like to knit. At some point, they can't knit, but they could still felt.
Yes.
You could be, bedbound or in a wheelchair, and you could felt. So I just saw it as a tremendous win-win for everybody involved. And then I met Heather, who is the person that generates the merino fiber on her farm in Kaikoura. And so I came back to the States at the end of January with my kit of fiber products, some Possum Merino pre-felt needles and stuff like that to show people. Because in Oregon, fiber is big here too. We have a lot of sheep, we have llamas. I have a neighbor that's totally into fiber. So I'm trying to share it with her because there are big conventions here of fiber people. So basically, I'm just trying to represent the potential for the business in the U.S. because where New Zealand is a small market, the U.S. is a huge market. And if we can get people here interested in Possum Merino fiber, then you can only absorb so much possum fiber in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I'm not really in it for the financial aspects of it, but if it became possible for me to generate some income for myself through it, that would be great. But it's not what I'm motivated. I just want to help Elizabeth and Heather to bring their product to the market.
Absolutely. So did you make your own hat?
I did make my own hat, and I've just ordered. When I came here, I ordered like 6 hat pre-felts, and I've given them away to people. So I ordered 6 more. and I'm just by word of mouth trying to get people interested in it, and then they can order it through Elizabeth's website at some point. I can imagine that if there's a real market here, that we would ship a huge amount of pre-felt to the US so that I could ship it from here, because that's one of the drawbacks to trying to do a project like this, is that sending things individually through post in New Zealand to the US is expensive, whereas the fiber doesn't weigh that much. Once it's broken up into small pieces, it's not going to be expensive to ship here, or as expensive. So
Fantastic.
that's I know that since I've left New Zealand, which is almost 6 months ago now, things have moved forward. But Elizabeth is trying to get herself in a position where she can devote more of her time to this project. And Libby, who's not with us, who has a business background, could speak more to the logistical issues and financial issues, which certainly I'm willing to participate in those discussions, but it's not my forte.
No.
I'm a biomedical engineer by education, a painter by trade. I've done a lot of different things, and just interested in things that make the planet work better.
Yeah, fantastic. No, we're all on the same page, and it's great to have, someone representing in a country like the United States. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Elizabeth, you want to jump in? You're back now. You sold your horse float.
Just about. He's having a look at it. Anyway, okay, so I'll just move this slightly so I can see things. All right, so the Possum Merino Felt project started out as New Zealand Gamekeepers in 2018. And that was due to a conversation that I had with Guy Savage, and he and I tried to start things off, but sadly that didn't work out. So we went separate ways, and I carried on. And then I received an inheritance, which gave me enough money to buy a machine called a felt loom, which I did. And that came from Kaitiaki, USA. And the thinking behind that is that Possum Merino yarn has already been done very well by wool yarns. And there's absolutely no point in competing with yarn. So I thought, well, what about felt? Felt has never been done before. So that's the reason I got the felt loom. And our friend Heather Gilbert, who runs Saxon Merino Sheep in Kaikoura, she provides this incredibly beautiful wool for the blend of possum merino, and the possum fibre comes from Julian Bracegirdle near Stratford, Taranaki. So it's North Island possum, South Island wool. And I receive it in great big rolls of batting, and I unroll it and put it through my felt loom. If you'd like to see that process, I have a YouTube channel which shows you how I do that. And then, so I've been developing with different products, designing different products, for example, hats. So I make the pre-felt using my machine, and then put it together into a kit to make a hat. And Asha has just recently
I'll get my hat. Okay. It's not finished. It's not finished. But this is my hat.
Oh, cool.
So I decided to put a little brim on it.
Oh, nice.
And I've got a little detail in there which it needs more work to make it show up, but you can actually design lines, just by using the felt. Yeah. So I've got to get it tighter and then use the iron to smooth it out a bit more. But yeah, it was really easy.
Yes.
It's very enjoyable to do.
Good.
I like it.
The instructions were all right?
Yeah, the instructions were great. Yes, I did break a couple of needles, so I'll have to get a few more of those, but I still have some.
This tiny little box has just come from China, and it contains brilliant felting needles for this micron of fiber. So I'll be including these particular needles in my next run of kits, and I could send you some, Asha, if you like.
Yes, awesome. Fantastic. You've been making other things too, haven't you, Elizabeth?
Yes, I've been working on different designs. So also cushions, I think, could be a very interesting. This is just a prototype, but there's great potential in using Possum Merino pre-felt as a wrap around strong wool. And then once you've wrapped it, you needle felt it. I'd love to have a machine, get an engineer to make a machine to mechanically needle felt a cushion. And the act of doing that tightens up the skin around the strong wool. And what it does, it creates a very bouncy cushion with a combination of strong wool and Possum Merino pre-felt. So that's another idea. So I'm keen on the concept of developing kits so that other people can create the end products. I don't want this business to create the end products. I'd love for others to do it. And also keen on trying to export possum fibre in bulk quantities to fibre mills in the USA. I haven't been successful in that yet. I need Libby's expertise and Alan's expertise to help make that happen. So I'm sort of an ideas concept person, and my forte is not the business side.
No, you've
But
done
together,
fantastic. Yeah.
we can do something.
Yeah. Oh, it's super exciting.
I'm also very excited about the potential of this AI thing, which does make me cringe, but I have to admit I was absolutely amazed by what it produced. So if you do have time, please have a look at those documents that I attached in the chat.
Great. Yes. Yes. We'll share those.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
So
you've been
yes,
selling sliver like as well to people who are spinning it into yarn. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay, cool. Is that quite popular?
It's popular as long as my marketing is working.
Yeah.
So I did have a run of a whole lot of sales just before Christmas, which was amazing, and then everything dried up. And so I need help with
Yeah.
marketing and promotion as well. That's another reason I decided to use AI. So
Yeah, no, it's the consistency, and making sure that people know it's available. And yeah, absolutely, as with any business, really. No, that's
oh,
fantastic.
one more thing. I'd love to talk with Shane
Yeah.
and anyone else interested about an idea I have, which is the creation of a new job. And the name of that job is conservation trapper. So it's not just a trapper. It's not just pest control. It's a conservation trapper. And the mindset of a conservation trapper is someone who steps into the bush with the first goal of assessing the bush, noticing what's out of balance. So that's based not upon science, but on a deep intuitive knowledge of the bush. So I would love this position to go back to basics, but that person would need to have the ability to document their observations in a manner that would meet the expectations of landowners. So I'm not thinking about the government or Crown land, I'm thinking about private landowners, because it's only private landowners who are really going to give us all the opportunity to make this concept work. So if we create a team of conservation trappers whose role is, first of all, to do conservation, and then using the tools of trapping to ethically swift kill, harvest the meat and the fiber, and then use that as a economic engine to prop the whole concept up. I don't know how that sounds to you, Shane.
I think you'll probably find that majority of our members have already been operating in that space for maybe 30 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it's just about the promotion, the marketing, because most possum hunters are just doing it because they care about the bush. So it's not about money to them. Money's helpful. They need cash flow. So,
yes.
But it's more about being one with the bush. So, and that's your conservation.
Yes.
So it's really just marketing and exposing that some more.
Yes. And creating a conservation service so that the landowner actually understands that this person coming onto my land to do conservation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Fantastic, Elizabeth. No, that's super exciting. And I think you have been working with Possum Trapper in where is he based? Taranaki.
Julian Bracegirdle in Taranaki, he does the machine pluck fibre, and then Rob Gordon way down in Balclutha, he hand plucks my A grade fibre. But I have, my sales have not been enough to continue purchasing from him, so this is why I need the business help in the background from Libby and Alan. And also I did upload a diagram which illustrates the thinking behind the whole project, which is if we can increase the price paid to conservation trappers for their fibre, that will attract more people to do that kind of work, and that will enable us to get more people on the ground, only for private landowners, and demonstrate that it's viable to do it without using aerial poisons.
Yep, absolutely. There's a lot more effort needed to go into ensuring that this valuable resource, is actually being purchased at a reasonable price that can help to cover, the work that's being done, to make it economically viable. Yep, for sure. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll get Averil on now, and then I see there's a few questions coming through in the chat, so we'll get to those afterwards. But Averil, would you come on and share with us a bit about living on the West Coast in the bush with your family off grid, and yeah, and then chatting to old timers like Laurie Collins.
Kia ora everyone, and thank you for having me here. I feel very grateful to be invited today. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I hope you don't mind, but I've written something to speak because I'm not the best at off-the-cuff speaking, so I will be reading. So I stand against 1080 from both an ecological and a food security point of view. My interest in food security started before the Canterbury earthquakes. We had a small lifestyle property with an orchard, paddocks and chicken run. Kept pigs, cattle and sheep. However, I was not particularly good at growing food. We had a good income, around a mind and body studio, and my husband worked as a joinery manager. But when the Canterbury earthquakes hit, everyone's basic living was impacted. Access to food was difficult, with restricted travel due to hazards everywhere. People suffered with no running water or electricity. We personally had no power, even though we had a pump, but we had to pump water from the well. Many people had no way to heat their homes or cook food. There were long queues at supermarkets, not just at the checkout, but queuing to simply enter the supermarket. Fuel was hard to access due to only 2 alternating service stations to supply all of Christchurch and its satellite towns. Having always lived paycheck to paycheck, we suffered. Money was tight. My husband's job ceased due to earthquake damage, and our studio remained shut for a time. Much like the COVID situation, movements, supplies, income and food were impacted. Our family struggled on an earthquake subsidy which barely covered the mortgage, and unpaid bills stacked up. All that we have taken for granted revealed themselves to be unreliable. The job, the mortgage, the business, the supermarket, and even civil infrastructure. It became clear that true security comes from the ability to produce sustenance, power and heat, water oneself. We decided to never be this vulnerable again. We moved to a bush block we owned on the west coast, and after fitting out a Bedford RL ex-army truck, sleeping 6, it had everything a regular home could provide. We set up rainwater collection, solar panels, and had a good source of fire fuel. Then we established gardens. But it was difficult because I had a lot to learn. I was not a gardener, and growing conditions proved challenging. With poor soil, I experimented with various gardening techniques and introduced methods for changing soil structure to make it suitable for growth. I now have extensive gardens which provide for the family in abundance, fencing and pasture to keep pigs and sheep, of which we raise for meat. My husband hunts deer in the forest around us. My older boys have learnt how to bow hunt. My younger two, still age 10, they can prepare a carcass and butcher it. We fill the freezer with meat for the price of one bullet. We forage and we also fish on occasion. We absolutely love life in the wilderness. The scenery is magical, connected to nature, a rawness of experience. We feel like we're living a little house on the prairie existence. It's been rewarding for the children who we homeschool. They've learnt to be resourceful and capable with a great appreciation for native flora and fauna. Our off-grid life has brought resilience in hard times. During COVID, we were okay without income, shops or services, and have been able to live long stretches without any income at all. Feels like freedom, it really does. But it's tainted by the feeling that we are being pushed out of the wilderness. In the 8 years we've lived here, we've been subjected to 3 1080 drops. When 1080 is dropped, a constant succession of helicopters surround our home, coming again and again. The loud drum of engines lasts for days at a time, choppers constantly dropping buckets of poison on the land surrounding us. I worry that 1080 dust is carried into our garden and into our water from air drift. I'm concerned for health. The first year before 1080 was dropped, there were possum, goat and deer. But I was struck by how little bird life there was in a remote bush setting. I recall just the one tui that would perch itself at the edge of the hill, and we would lean into its song, which we heard from a distance. There were kiwi, moorpork, and one kea to come visit us occasionally. I later learned a few decades back kea had been prolific in the area. We've even spotted bats on a few occasions. But compared to the dry grasslands of Canterbury, the bird life is much less than we had expected. Predator-free New Zealand offered a water tank that first year, so we wouldn't have to rely on our stream, which ran in front of our home, the stream where the children played, where our animals drank, and where we collected water for bathing. The choppers were dropping on the Pākehī above us. I was concerned about downstream contamination. I deterred the children from their play, and some people suggested covering our roof and blocking our collection pipes till the poisoning was over. When the first drop was due, we were sent a topographic map of the 1080 drop zone. This area was marked in red, apart from a white lollipop shape in the middle. This lollipop represented our property and the road in. Yes, we were literally surrounded by 1080 helicopters.
And cups, but I guess they don't. But I
flying
took
all around us.
a little plate.
It felt terrifying and threatening. Me up there alone in the bush with 4 kids. It felt like we were under military attack. I learned that people in town said we might even die. Our road in had a danger poison sign posted at the entrance warning others not to enter. We had to travel this road and we also had to walk it. I recall walking out with the children. There were green pellets everywhere and I had to tell the kids not to touch them. After the drop, there was a significant decrease in bird activity. With 2 more subsequent drops, not only did we not see possum, we didn't see deer either. And now, due to the scarcity of game, we can't hunt. There had once been deer at every trip in and out of the forest, and now it's rare to see them. The bush is quiet, not a bird, not an insect. It appears that biodiversity is being wiped out at every level. What with raising food prices in New Zealand, I see families struggling to feed themselves healthily, if at all. So why is game being culled like this? Hunting deer is a viable source of food for all. Instead of treating game like a pest to eradicate, our government should be respecting game as an essential food supply. All New Zealanders should have the right to hunt, and no one can safely hunt in poison forests. For about 2 years now, I've been running a page called This Backcountry Life, initiated to encourage nature connectivity, living self-sufficiently, growing food, and homeschooling children. I'm an ex-teacher. I write about our life in the bush, encouraging appreciation for nature and speaking on how 1080 is impacting bush biodiversity firsthand. My interest in fighting 1080 has increased the more I have observed. Like when I hiked the Hefe last year and heard about a 1080 drop dumped right where rare takahe had been introduced. 10 takahe were released, but only 5 survived the drop. Our group spotted only 3. A friend recommended I make contact with an amazing fellow who I interviewed for This Backcountry Life. Laurie Collins. Laurie is an ex-deer culler now in his 80s, was involved with 1080 in the early days when he worked for Doc. He hated it then and has been speaking out ever since. Laurie was a key researcher for the documentary Poisoning Paradise, which I think a few of you might be familiar with. Yeah. I wanted Laurie's message to travel far, so I connected with friends who are starting up a radio called Mad FM. So Mad FM's intent is to speak out about important issues, giving common folk a platform to voice concerns. I discussed my interviews with Laurie and invited Mad FM to get involved. In the past month, Mad FM has done around 6 hours of recording with Laurie, gathering his stories. He's had a lot of shocking first-hand accounts with 1080 poisoning, including dissections of possum and what those contents were, and killing birds, game, and bees. So he's seen a lot of devastation out there and some horrific things. Together with Mad FM, we wish to produce a series of Laurie's accounts for broadcast. Last weekend, we had the crew up home, sharing kai and creating footage with Laurie. This is to be published by Mad FM, This Backcountry Life, and also shared with Flora and Fauna New Zealand. I intend to continue speaking further on old-timer bushfolk, gathering first-hand stories and speaking out about 1080. Other areas that I've personally been working in include making a short video showcasing Mary Hobbs' submission against the Gene Technology Bill, a horrendous bill which will allow unknown consequences through the manipulation of DNA in New Zealand. The repercussions will be irreversible. I believe this to be a very dangerous bill. In addition, I see further threat to safety with the raising of glyphosate levels on our food. Living in the bush and with my background in herbal medicine and naturopathy, I wanted to expand my knowledge of plants in the bush. I wanted to know what we can eat and use as medicine should we ever be caught out. My angle was bush survival. In 2022, I began to teach bush foraging and medicine, travelling and teaching in forests around New Zealand. As the economic climate tightens, I'm seeing a growing popularity in foraging. The need for such knowledge has increased as many people are suffering for lack of access to good food. But when forests roadsides, beaches, ditches, farms, parks are poisoned, how can one safely forage? I would love to see councils cease this harmful practice and instead plant wild verges with food and fruit trees, allowing for insect highways and safe opportunities for foraging. Hunger is rising. In 2023, World Vision added New Zealand to one of the world's poorest countries. New Zealand people are choosing between feeding their kids and heating their homes. To address this issue, I presented before Buller Council this week in a speech detailing the degree of poverty and challenging our council's local plan to hike the rates, which consequence will be to put further pressure on its citizens. With 73% of Buller community in a state of severe financial hardship, there has been evident increased need for support. Families seek to regain control over the food they eat. People are hungry, forced to eat cheap, nutrient-poor food. My desire is to seek solutions to hunger. In this line, I will soon be moving into an opportunity to teach food sovereignty here on the coast, reaching those who are most in need. Areas of focus will be hunting, fishing, foraging, growing, raising farm animals and preserving. Also teaching nutritional needs and how we can mindfully get the best from our food. However, the majority of these focus areas are affected by 1080 and toxic spray. Our government needs to recognise that its policy for poisoning habitats is destroying important flora and fauna. Flora and fauna which could solve the problem of hunger for New Zealand citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Averil. Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, that's what to say, really, really feeling for, what you've gone through and what your family's gone through. And thank you so much for sharing that and for being a fighter and for, sharing the stories of Laurie Collins. I think we all look forward to when those become available. But some really, really important points about, the future foraging and how can we forage anywhere safely, and food security, game being an essential food supply for so many people in this country. That
And hunting too.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. Wow. Okay, so why don't we just get people's turn on their cameras and turn on their mics if they want to, if they've got some questions. There are a couple of questions in the chat, so we'll have a look through those. But thank you to all our speakers. That was really awesome, and it's so great to listen to people sharing from the heart, to sharing their passions, especially these things are also interconnected.